Hey everyone, thanks for joining the package quad planning meeting. This is week 4. Pull up the right page. This is week 4 where we go over the plan for the next milestone. So I shared a link, I could share my screen actually, to the milestone planning issue. That's the first item. And okay, sorry. You can see the screen, right? You can see the planning issue. Okay. So I know we have a couple of things that we should mention that it's in July and late June. We have a couple of time off going on. We have a new Ruby developer that's starting. So I tried to keep especially the backend Ruby issues a bit light. So if you feel like things are at risk or that we're not capable of getting all this done, please, let me know. And then generally, I tried to prioritize issues for the container registry, the cleanup policy, as well as online garbage the code changes needed for the dual migration path. I've tried to prioritize a bunch of dependency proxy issues, knowing that we're going to be prioritizing bringing that together with the package registry in the coming months. And then just some front-end scaling issues to take advantage of the GraphQL work that we've been doing. And then a follow-up to some of the community contributions. Okay, so that's high level. I brought in Haley and Joam. I asked you originally in the Epic for the dual coding, which issues we should bring in. Haley, you mentioned these two as being the most important, but then Joam said we should bring in all of them. So I added in the remaining issues from that Epic as stretch goals.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable way to do it.
Okay. I just didn't want to overwhelm us with P1s and then hurt our say-do ratio if we didn't end up getting to them. But ideally, we could get to all of them, I guess. That would be great.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think the work definitely needs to get prioritized and get done. I think we can start a little early as well.
Okay. And nothing is missing or should be worked on aside from that, right? That is the most important thing in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, and then the third item I have here is the percentage-based rollout for the cleanup policy. I know for this milestone, we're going for 1% in 14.0, and then we'll look to see how it performs and bump it up. I saw that. And then another change that could go out with this is the cleanup policies are not showing the nil values. That's a nice usability improvement. And then including the cleanup status on the list page. So it's another nice usability improvement as we roll out these changes. David or Nico, what do you think of this set of issues for the cleanup policies? So do those make sense? Did you expect to see anything here that's not?
Seems so good to me.
No, it's all good. Those two issues on the UI, the nil values and the cleanup status, they were brought up multiple times by support. So that's why I think it's a good idea to focus on them. And that's it.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree. I've seen a bunch of confusion about this recently, so that would be great to tackle. So then on to the dependency proxies. So we have a fairly common bug that comes up from support and from customers where the feature is not working when single sign-on is enabled. We've done some investigation into this, but it would be great to resolve that. The next issue is adding deploy token support for the dependency proxy. It's another frequent customer request to add support for that. And the next one we were talking about in Slack recently, we only have one metric right now for the dependency proxy, and that's if it's enabled, which is at the instance level. So we don't really know how many groups are using it and how they're using it. So this issue will track how often are pulls being done, what's the hit ratio, and things like that. So this will be really informative as we consider expanding the functionality of the dependency proxy. Any questions on those? Okay, and then Nico, I put in this issue for converting the package details page to use Apollo and GraphQL.
Yeah, one question. Why the detailed page on P1 and the list on stretch and not the other way around?
I made one guess of what you might say the priority was. I thought details might be slower performance, so I thought maybe it would make sense to do that first.
Yeah, on that regard, yes. So we would solve more issue with details. Yeah, I actually asked in the issue to swap the two because, you know, in my mind, list counts before the details, but you are actually right. We will solve some stuff by moving to the GraphQL implementation and details page. So actually, it's a good call. Perfect.
Okay, no risk of it looking weird or a bad user experience?
No, the UI is going to be the same. It's
Okay.
just how we fetch the data.
Okay, so yeah, good. I was hoping to clarify that. Thank you. Haley, I have the increased storage driver visibility for S3. This is like a follow-up to an issue that I thought, did we finish this or is this still open?
That is still open.
That's right.
With the work we've been doing with S3, we have the wrapper over all the actual calls out to the S3 API. So making that wrapper more generous, more like making that wrapper include a logging function would be pretty simple. That would do a lot. I think the difficult thing in this is like, how do we get the logger into S3 properly, which it shouldn't be too bad.
Do you think that we should still prioritize this given the amount of dual code routing work that we have to do?
We could make it a stretch goal.
Okay.
That is like related to a customer though. Yeah, I would move it to a stretch goal. Like we really just need to hammer on the dual code routing.
I think so. Okay.
Yeah.
Plus, that'll give us an even 10. That will feel a lot better. You know? Just kidding. Okay, that's it. Oh, and then Steve and David, Matthew, the person contributing the Debian repository, reached out in the issue and asked if we can help contribute the documentation. So I was hoping, I think it makes sense to schedule it because otherwise that will be hard to get to. What do you think? Does that make sense to schedule as its own issue or
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's essentially written. We just have to make a few small updates and then it's ready for review.
Okay. Cool.
And we of course have to put it into an MR, but it's I've used the documentation to test it. That's already written and it's in pretty good shape. It just needs to be modified with some items such as mentioning that it's behind a feature flag and whatnot.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. All right, and then stretch goals. We mentioned all the container registry issues, and then for the package registry, I have a few scaling issues that would be great to get to. I know we've been wanting to investigate the latency of the NPM endpoints for the package registry. We've kind of been putting that off for a bit. We had great success when we did the same for Maven, so it'd be nice to look into that. There's a composer endpoint that's causing high latency as well that Dan called out when he was looking at the error budget dashboard. We're hoping to take a look at this. And then there's a data issue. Right now, any activity with generic packages is not being captured in the usage ping. So we're shortchanging ourselves on users and packages published in all of our metrics. And then finally, yeah, what Nico, we mentioned converting the package list page to use Apollo and GraphQL. Any other, what do you think of the stretch goals? Anything that you were hoping to work on that we should consider swapping?
There is this issue. I tried to fix it. The one for Nugget packages where the archive is really, really, really big. So the fix I was hoping that it would work. Didn't work because it's not, it didn't target the root cause of the bug. We still need more investigation on that, but I'm pretty sure that we moved the file on object storage, meaning that the file is on object storage under one key, and we changed that key. And instead of using the move or copy API or whatever the API is, it's downloading the file and re-uploading to the new key.
So maybe it's using too much memory or something.
Yeah, and so I think we just run into memory issues, and the background job just gets killed by the monitoring, and the whole sidekick gets restarted. So that's, I think that could be a problem that is not proper to Nugget only. We could have the same with all packages that need a background processing, like Ruby gems. And so could be good to focus on that bug to fix it.
Okay, I think I'll swap out number 2 here with that one, because even though this composer callback is not working properly, it's not at the same scale as potentially background workers processing those packages. So I think we could swap those, or I'll at least add it about higher in priority, and then we could, if we can get to it, then we get to it. Okay. I added this section, I think a milestone or two ago, for feature flags to manage. I know we're managing the Helm charts feature flag. Should I also add the one for the cleanup policies in here as well?
I'm not sure what this section means.
I don't know if it was useful or not. I feel like what happened was in 14, maybe Nico had to manage the feature flag for the settings change, and we wanted to call out that work existed. But if this isn't if it's not useful or it's duplicative, we don't have to capture it here. Okay, let's skip it for, okay.
It's not super clear what this item means. Does that mean that we need to enable the feature flag in 14.01 or in 41, or does it mean that we need to remove it or clean it up? It's not super clear.
Okay. What do we have to do for the Helm charts feature flag in this case?
Wait for the implementation to be complete.
Okay. So I'll remove that.
It's about in the same state as the Debian MVC feature flag. We are waiting for the work to be completed.
Okay. So I'm just going to remove that section for now. Okay. So if you had to say, given vacations, training a new developer, and other work on a scale of 1 to 5, how do we feel about the P1, accomplishing the P1 issues? You could just do a show of hands if you want.
How do we do a show of hands with a scale from 1 to 5? With the numbers on the hand?
Yeah. Okay, see 4. 4's are good.
I think from the Ruby backend standpoint, the only one that I'm worried about at all is the SSO bug for the dependency proxy, because there's just some unknowns there of like what's actually going on. So it's hard to say how much work is involved in the fix until we understand what's actually happening. But otherwise, everything looks good from that standpoint.
Is there anything we can do to de-risk that? I could try and reach out to the customers in there, see if they can.
I mean, it's really just the investigation that'll be the initial work, probably like the first day or two of work, where we work through reproducing the error and understand what's actually happening in the underlying code that we need to fix.
Okay, sounds good. the last thing, there are two issues that were in 14.0 that were stretch goals, and just one was for, I linked to, it was for support for symbol packages for NuGet, which is how you test your code. That's a fairly popular issue. But Steve, do you want to verbalize your comment?
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking about starting that one. I did an investigation right before I took some time off. But based on that investigation, it is a pretty sizable amount of work, maybe even up to a 3 and wait. So I don't think it would be finished in time for 14. And it might just be better to schedule this for a future milestone in that case.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And the other one on there is another dependency proxy issue. This one is failing to pull from EC2 instances. This one has some customer interest as well and some support, but it maybe we need to reschedule this as well. We could see offline if we could look into it. Maybe there's a solution, but if not, I could reschedule it as well.
Yeah, that one, I'm just not too familiar with it. It does look like there's a possible fix labeled in the description. So in that case, it could be a little less difficult if that's actually a true fix. But yeah, it would just take some time to look into what's going on.
Okay. Okay, that's all I had for this meeting. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to talk about? Thank you for joining and for your attention, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.